Hello, everyone. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I had a few days of reflection about how I think that I am going to be moving forward after I decided, maybe the idea or the path of getting into software engineering the way that I thought I was going to be able to get into it isn't turning out as I was expecting. So I contemplated it and I was thinking, okay, well, I need to change my strategy, and I think I have a strategy, at least a preliminary strategy, that I'm going to be using for me in order to move forward. And I want to discuss that in this video, but also I want to talk about some suggestions that I thought for other people, because I obviously saw a lot of comments on my video that a lot of other people were also struggling with this. So I was thinking about, okay, well, what about in my case? What is my path forward? But also for the people who are in a different situation than me, okay, well, what would be a good suggestion and how would I suggest they move forward? So I was thinking about these few things. Now, first, before I actually talk about the path that I'm going to be charting and how I think I can move forward, I do want to discuss, like, okay, well, what good is a map if you don't know the destination? So another comment that I got on my YouTube channel is like, why Amazon? Why Amazon? Why Amazon? Why are you so obsessed with Amazon specifically? So I wanted to address that point, and the answer is actually kind of simple. Why Amazon? That's because that's where Susie works. So Susie is a software engineer at Amazon. And so a lot of people, I've realized this. I didn't know it until I started talking to people, and it seems like many people don't enjoy being around their wife. They will enjoy being around other people. It doesn't quite make sense to me because Susie is my best friend. We used to always do things together. We were always together. We were always, always, always together. I remember, like, for example, I was in this exact room right here back when I was studying, and I remember I would be at my desk, which is right here, and I would be doing my thing, da 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 da, and then she would come in and then just hang out, like, on the bed right there. And just, hang out there, and we would be able to be together, and then she'd be like, Timmy，你在干啥？我好无聊，陪我玩儿，我想你啊. Like this. And I would just be like, it's that feeling like we were best friends. And um, now that she started working at Amazon, it's like she literally works 7 days a week. I'm not joking. I'm not making that number up. 7 days a week. And she will start work at 9 o'clock in the morning, or she'll wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, get ready, arrive to work at about 10, and then come home at around 2 a.m. So she is constantly, constantly, constantly at work. So why do I want Amazon? Why am I so obsessed with Amazon? Well, actually, that's the reason. I would love more than anything to be able to be at the same company that she's at. And to think about how amazing that would be. I would be able to go to work. Okay, obviously we wouldn't be in the same team, but I would be able to go to work. I would be able to say, hey, let's go meet up at this building, right? Whichever building, I would be able to scan myself in, scan my own badge, go in, and we would be able to just have lunch together. Or Amazon also has those open like desks. So we would be able to be like, hey, let's just work together by one of these desks and go scan in and just be able to work together, be together. And then on the weekends, we would also be able to be together. So why Amazon? Why Amazon? Why? Well, that's why specifically Amazon. Now, why software engineering? The first reason is just because I like software engineering. Like that's something that I found just more interesting. I don't know. That's not reason number one. Reason number two, why software engineering? I was looking at, okay, well, if my goal is Amazon, then what does Amazon desire? And the percentage of jobs is much more for software engineering than embedded systems, which is what I am. I'm an embedded systems engineer. But all of the jobs are mid-level. So how do you get into the mid-level software engineering roles without experience to make that jump? And I think that that's that's something everyone is like really frustrated about and like struggling with. And that's what I've been struggling with too. It's like no matter how many personal projects that I do, you can't really make that jump. And so even though I do have 2 years of work experience, that work experience is as an embedded systems engineer. So even though it's like looking up and you see all these juicy fruit, right? But you're not tall enough to reach it. So it's like see that software engineering has a lot more jobs, and the firmware jobs are just so small. It's just like very specific. And so that's why I've been targeting software engineering because I like it and because it has a large opening. But the opening is way up here. So that's one reason. And now the other thing is, okay, fine. What I was thinking is, okay, fine. If I'm not able to get a job specifically at Amazon, I would like to at least be in Seattle. And so my job is in Portland. Now, previously what I was doing is I was working remotely Mondays and Fridays. So I would drive Saturday night, or not Saturday night, sorry. Thursday night, I would drive up to Seattle from Portland up to Seattle. I'd finish my work, drive up, and then work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday up in Seattle, and then drive home back to Oregon. And now, obviously, I didn't get to see Susie very often because, yeah, she is working all of those insane hours. But, I'd be able to see her when she comes home or when she wakes up, and we would still be able to see each other a little bit. Actually, this, as of a few days ago, changed. My manager said, hey, we really need you here 100% in person assisting the hardware. So, actually, now I'm not going to be able to be in Seattle much at all. So, that's another thing that's like, so I was thinking, all right, well, if I'm not able to get into Amazon specifically, let me try to get into just any software engineering job that I'm able to be in Seattle. And then I was trying and trying and trying and just running into a lot of roadblocks there as well. And that's why I was just like, man, this just seems impossible, impossible, impossible to get a job because there's so few entry level software engineering jobs. There's a lot up here. There's so many up here, but it's like how do you make that jump? And I'm also seeing like the amount of progress that Susie is making is just enormous. She is increasing her skill set so fast and rapidly, and I'm just so impressed by it, but also a little bit intimidated just thinking like she's been at Amazon for what, 6 months? That's the improvement that an engineer makes in 6 months. And mid level is like 2 to 3 years. So expanding that out 3 years, I need to get to that level. And then I'm just like, oh my goodness. Oh, right. It's that kind of feeling. So I was thinking, well, let me see if I can get any other job at a different company, or maybe I can apply for a job within my company, but in the software department, because the software department actually does do remote. They're able to do remote, but they're not opening any positions. So that's kind of the situation, right? That's the destination. Okay, great. So now that we know the destination, number one is ideal case is I'm able to get in as an engineer, either a software engineer or a firmware engineer or an embedded systems engineer, some X engineer, right, at Amazon. That's number one. Or be able to be at in Seattle somehow. That's the destination. Okay, so taking that in, trying to figure out, all right, now how am I going to move forward for my specific situation? How am I going to do this? And what I was thinking is, what I really need to do is kind of play it a little bit defensive. The market is so bad right now. It is so abysmal. I need to make sure that I am protecting myself, protecting my skill set, and I think I need to hunker down and really, first off, focus on my job. So what I'm going to do is I am going to increase my hours that I work. Normally, I do my whatever 8 hours, 9 hours, etc. That chunk. I think I'm going to expand that out a little bit more, and I'm really going to try to focus on my job. And yes, it is firmware engineering, it's not software engineering. I will try to also on my own time, so on the weekends and when I get home from work, what I'm going to do is I am going to try to increase my skill set within this world of firmware engineering. So I'm going to try to understand operating systems. I'm going to try to understand the Linux environment. One of the things that I want to kind of do is maybe I can work on a little bit of kernel develop or like driver development. And so I have some ideas on what I want to do. Now, at my job, I'm actually not dealing with any operating system. There's no operating system on my stuff. I'm dealing more with just pure embedded systems. So you have an electrical device or electrical component. You have to go look at the data sheet, try to figure out who are you, which addresses do you have, what are your registers. I want you to do this action. What register do I need to write? Which device, or sorry, which register do I need to write which hex value into so such that you perform the action that you want. So that's kind of the where I come from. And that's not really software, right? Because actually the software is very easy. It's one line of code. You just I2C. You just send that value, device address, device register, and then the value that you want to write. It's one line of code. Bam. But now trying to figure out what values to actually write, that's the tricky part. But anyways, so that's what I'm thinking is okay, well, how do I leverage the advantage that I have? I have 2 years of work experience as an embedded systems engineer. So what I want to do is take advantage of that. And even though looking at the percentages, the number of entry level software engineering jobs is so little. Firmware engineering is small, but firmware engineering at the mid level position is actually larger than entry level software engineering, if that makes sense. So, what I think I might be able to do is really try to drive hard and learn as much as I can about this world of embedded systems and firmware engineering and all of this with operating systems and try to get really good at that because now I am able to leverage the 2 years of experience that I have. I'm able to leverage my electrical engineering degree. I'm able to leverage the experience with, okay, at my job, I'm doing a lot with the electrical components, so I understand schematics, troubleshooting, electrical processes, right? All of those things which I was previously discounting because I was so targeted towards software. Okay, well, now they start to come into play. Now they actually start to work to my advantage instead of me trying to kind of hide in the shadows and say, I'm applying for software engineering, but then I have to kind of downplay, well, okay, at work, and find those examples that I actually do use software engineering. So now all of a sudden, I'm able to leverage my skill sets and my experiences in a more direct way. Previously, what I was doing is coming at it from, okay, well, my engineering experience, I know how to do a project. I know how to deal with different stakeholders, right? I know how to negotiate with the electrical department is having conflicts with the software engineering department and trying to negotiate terms that are good and agreeable. So taking those kind of softer skills, the project management skills that I absolutely developed at my job and trying to transfer that into how I would be a good software engineer. But now it's much more direct. It's okay, well, I have experience in I2C, in embedded systems, in electrics, in all of these different aspects. And if I'm able to then go and learn operating systems and be able to get a lot more comfortable in the Linux environment, not just obviously not just using Linux, that's fairly easy, right? My computer right behind my laptop is a dual boot Ubuntu machine. That's easy. What I'm meaning is actually, developing on Linux, becoming kind of a Linux developer. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. But if I'm able to, get more comfortable with this world, I feel like, okay, well then maybe I have a better shot at those mid-level jobs. Okay. So that's what I'm planning on doing is I need to continue doing leak code because no matter what, I'm going to have to do leak code if I want to be able to get a job as a software engineer or as an embedded systems engineer. Both of them do leak code. So, and leak code is not something that you can really cram. Leak code is not a thing of, okay, well, yeah, you need to prepare for an interview in a week. Well, oops, right? If you didn't prepare for leak code, that good luck. Good luck. So leak code is much better if you do it just consistently. And so what I'm going to try to do is just continue to do what I have been doing with leak code, but just studying every single day, learning leak code, learning, moving forward with that, keeping that kind of on the back burner a little bit. Front burner will be the putting more time in my job, putting time into being able to uh, understand the embedded or the Linux, but then on the side also making sure that I uh, learn leak code, and then start to look. Okay, well now let's once I start to build a little bit more skills, let's see what's out there, right? And also I do want to keep an eye out at my company because if I'm able to transfer in as a software engineer, like I don't care entry level. Like even if I get promoted up to mid level at my current position, and then I get demoted a down level back to entry level, but I'm a software engineer. I'm a software engineer that gets to be in Seattle. That's okay. That's okay with me. So I'm gonna be keeping it, an eye out and be like, hey, what if a position opens up? Right? I'm able to, make contacts with the software department. I've already met a lot of them. I'm good friends with a lot of those people in the software department. As I mentioned, I have to do negotiations between the different departments. So I know them very well and they know me. So if there's a position that opens up, actually that solves a lot of problems. Plus, as I just mentioned, I enjoy software engineering. So it's like it would be a double win. It'd be pretty cool, right? So that's what I'm thinking is okay, well, fine. I will be doubling down. I'm going to be focusing on electrical engineering, embedded systems engineering, and firmware engineering. That's what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to be working as hard as I can to get promoted. I really want to get promoted into a mid-level position. And if I have 2 years, that's normally around the time that you get promoted, right? 2 to 3 years. So, okay, great. Let's hit it hard. Let's go hard. Let's increase our hours. Let's try to really focus on this point. And then also keep an eye out. Okay, well, is my company hiring for software engineering? Is that open? And by the way, people were asking like, oh, was it because of AI? And no, actually, the my company did not lay off. There was a little bit of a layoff in the software department, and it wasn't because of AI. It was just because, unfortunately, we lost a government contract. So darn. But anyways, so yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be keeping my eye out for that. No positions available right now, but we'll get there. And then now the next question is, okay, all right. So how can other people actually deal with this situation? Because if you've just graduated, oh my goodness, I can't even describe how much I like you guys I don't think people understand how difficult that situation is. If you just graduated, oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness. I coming at it with no work experience, coming at it with none of this. That is a very, 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 very like hard situation. And I remember for me, when I was applying, so I graduated 2.5 years ago, and I started applying, and I got nothing, 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 nothing. It took me 6 months and over 1,000 applications before I finally got a position. And I want to say, I did not get the position because I was just so smart. I had really good projects and I was just really, like this. Everyone wants to pretend that they got their position because they were just so smart and they were better than everyone else. No, it was just luck. It was luck. Okay? There was no reason why I got the position and someone else didn't. It was just I, I got a phone call and I talked with my current manager and just thankfully he decided to take a take me up, right? Like, be like, yeah, we'll give you a shot. We'll give you an opportunity. And I can't even describe how thankful I am, like, to him for giving me that opportunity. And so it really was just luck. After sending out so many applications, I got 3 interviews. Three. Out of 1,000 applications, I got 3 interviews. And then thankfully, he gave me an internship. I did a 4-month internship, and then I converted that over into a full-time position. So I understand how difficult it is because that was 2.5 years ago. It has only gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And now the job market is abysmal. I can't even contemplate trying to apply with 0 years of work experience in this environment where you're fresh out of school. You studied really hard, and then all of a sudden you have these people trying to gaslight you, telling you that you are like lazy or stupid, or you have a bad work ethic, or you uh like all of these different things that they're like insulting you because you're unable to find a job. Man, no. No, it's rough out there, okay? It's not you s- like I know for me, I studied super hard. I had a high GPA. I assumed that if I was able to get my degree, that would set me up for success. Now, that's not true. It's not true, but I assume that. And the reason is just because, well, first off, as a student, you don't really know any better. You don't know any better, right? So I was thinking, okay, well, I'm getting an engineering degree. It's going to prepare me to become an engineer. Well, I didn't know about you needed to do all this other stuff. You needed to do outside projects. You needed to do all of these internships. You needed to do all of this, right? All of that. I didn't know about that. So I was just, and I kept hearing like, oh, once you get your engineering degree, you're going to be set. You're going to be good. Just get the degree and then you'll get a job, right? I kept hearing that. So I pushed through it, even though I had to work full time. I was doing part-time school, full-time work. I just kept pushing through, pushing through, pushing through, pushing through. And then I finally got my degree. And then I realized, oh my goodness, oh, it's a lot more difficult than I imagined. And that was almost 3 years ago. Now, now it's so much worse than it was even when I was doing it. And I only got in because luck. And thank goodness to my manager for giving me that shot and that opportunity. I will say it now, I will say it again, I will say it 1,000 times. I am so thankful to him for giving me that chance and that opportunity. But if you're coming at it right now, man, it's rough. So I was thinking like how what are some good suggestions that I can give to maybe help? And I was thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, and the only thing that I came up with that is like a genuine suggestion is this. What I was considering after I was applying for 6 months, I said, okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find a backdoor into the tech field. I'm going to get a job as a technician. Now, when I say that, I want to be very, very cautious because there's a lot of scam jobs, and most of them call themselves technician jobs, right? You don't want a mechanic job, you don't want a machinist job, you don't want a button presser, right? Assembler job, a like soldering. No, 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 that's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning get a job as a technician, like a robotics technician. So what you would be in charge of is you would be in charge of fixing the robots when they go down. So a tech company. Now, I'm from Oregon, so the big one is Intel. So Intel tech company, they need to produce their chips. Well, they hire a lot of technicians. And those technicians will be running the automation, the robotics automation on the production line. And now, the advantage to this is you are going to be able, there's a lot of advantages to this. Number one, you are going to, first off, at least you'll have a job, right? I understand, like, it's not a very good thing to say if you've worked so hard to get a degree. And trust me, I know because I struggled to get that degree because it took me a really long time and I didn't know where the money was going to come from. I was just like constantly struggling to get my degree. So I understand, like, you want to be an engineer, you got an engineering degree, but if you're able to get a job as a technician, awesome. What's happening is, first off, you do have an income, you do have a salary, do have all of that. Well, number two is you are going to be able to gain work experience as working with robots. And by the way, I should mention, when I say that I was working full time, what was I doing? I was a technician. Okay, so I do actually have some understanding of this world. That's why I'm talking about it. So I was a technician for 10 years. By the way, yeah, or 8 years. And then, by the way, yes, it did take me 10 years to graduate. Many terms I just didn't go to school because I didn't have money for the tuition. But so I have a lot of experience with being a technician and this world. That's why I'm talking about it. So what you're going to be able to do if you're a technician is a robotics technician at a reputable tech company. Now, it doesn't need to be a big one. It doesn't have to be Intel, but a tech company that has engineers, real engineers, and a position that you are working on robotics, like automation on the production floor, that you're running the robots, you're fixing the robots. What you're going to be able to do is, I found, at least for me, the company that I was working for, it allowed me to be able to kind of explore my own curiosities because, yeah, you did have your job that you needed to do. You needed to make sure that the robots ran. If they went down, you would try to fix it, but there wasn't a lot of like high stress on you because okay, if you're unable to fix the robot, then that's the engineer who's gonna come and fix it. Well, guess what? You're trying to become an engineer. So fix it, right? Like try to learn as much as you can, take in as much knowledge. That's what I did when I was working at the company that I was, is whenever one of those robots went down, well, if I couldn't fix it, I wanted to know why. What went wrong? What happened? And then I would go talk to the engineers and be like, "Hey, do you remember when this robot went down? Well, why? What happened? What was the problem? How did you fix it?" And so you're able to, number one, you do have a job. Number two, you're able to gain work experience and you're able to learn at kind of a lower stress environment where you don't have a ton of expectations on you, which actually frees you up to be a lot more creative and you're able to put more time into learning. So that's actually really good. Number three, you're able to make connections because I said don't go to these fly by night random places. Get a reputable place that has engineers. So now you have engineering contacts. You're able to make friends with them. You're able to understand from them. You're able to learn from them. You're able to kind of be mentored by them. Fourth one, it's a tech company. So now you are an insider. As I just mentioned, for me, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look to see if my company will have a software engineering position open. And if so, I'm actually standing a fairly good chance of being able to get in because why? The managers know me, the software engineering managers know me, the software engineers know me. I'm already in the company. An internal transfer is so much easier to do. And companies are much more willing to do an internal transfer than get someone from outside that they don't really know. Who are you? Are you a weirdo? Who is this person? Are you a bad worker? Are you just gonna up and leave? Like, what's happening with you, right? So they don't know who you are, but if you already have a job in there, even if it's a technician job, they know you. They know what you're about. You have contacts. You find out about the open position before anyone else does because you hear people saying, "Hey, by the way, I know you're looking for an engineering position. Would you we're starting to look for a new person. Would you be interested?" Right? So you're able to get this insider knowledge. That's really helpful. And that's one of the things that when I was struggling to find a job, I was considering like, "Hey, I might be able to break in by getting a technician job." So looking at Intel, looking at all of the different companies in my local area. Now I don't know where you're located, obviously, but wherever you are, hopefully they have production lines at reputable companies that do have engineers there. Like the place that I was working, it had the engineers who did the development. So R&D engineers, they had the all of that. So I was able to make contacts with them, to know them, to be able to interface with them. That's what you want, not some there again, there's a lot of scams and they go by technicians. So try to not look for the job technician, try to look for the company, right? A reputable company that does manufacturing and then see if they have technician jobs available. That would be my suggestion. And then once you get in, hit it hard, try to learn as much as you can, try to absorb as much information as you can, and then see how you can transfer in to the engineering department. That would be my suggestion. Obviously, I completely understand that, man, like you worked so hard for the degree. I can understand the frustration because I had that frustration as well. I got the job. It was actually so I started off immediately after I graduated high school. And it when I started, it was a button pushing job. I was just taking modules and putting them in a test fixture, putting it down, pressing go, and then recording the results and then putting it into the system, moving the module out, right? Doing that. But as I just said, the company was very open and encouraged the employees to, try out different things. So I would just go to my manager and be like, "Hey, I'm studying engineering. I really want to go and learn about robotics. Can I get trained on this robot?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, definitely." So I scheduled a training and with one of the engineers, and then I was certified on it. Now I'm running it. Okay, well, now if it breaks, guess who's gonna try to fix it? Me. So I was able to move from kind of a button pushing position to an actual like technician where I was fixing robots. So that would be my suggestion. That's the only one that I can really think of as a good suggestion. Now there's a lot of bad suggestions that I hear on the internet. And I feel like a lot of the things which I'm seeing on the internet are kind of designed to either they're just mean-spirited. I'm seeing a lot of very mean-spirited videos on the internet and trying to make fun of people for not being able to find a job, trying to criticize them, insult them, say that they are lazy, stupid, all of these things. And I I call the So I was thinking about what's going on, and these people are very much like, I think that they're just predators. So there's two types of people. Number one, there's predators. And what I mean by predators are these are the people who are trying to sell you something. They have some actual reason to do what they're doing. So they're trying to make you feel bad, say that you are, right, insult you essentially, make you feel like you are inadequate and try to just make you feel really down on yourself. And then lo and behold, they have a solution. They have something to sell you, right? And then you have the little minions. So these are the people. So you have the predators up here and then the minions down here. And these people will come and just they don't even have a motive. They just these people are psychologically sick, okay? What these people are is they just get a kick out of insulting people and feeling that they are superior because they can insult people on the internet. I guess you'll see them either when the predator is streaming and then they're like insulting someone like how can you not know this? How you graduated but you don't know whatever, some random factoid, and then you see the comments, and everyone is just like lambasting this person, like, "Oh, this guy's so stupid." And this is the reason that I know about them is because I make YouTube videos, and in my videos, one of the reasons why I make these YouTube videos is because I want to give an accurate representation of what it's like to be an engineer. I feel like when I go online and I see all of these people, they are on the internet here bragging about how smart they are and how easy engineering is for them. And you kind of get this false sense that, man, I'm just so stupid. Why am I struggling so much? And by the way, I want to point this out. I've heard so many other engineers say that exact same thing. Is like, why am I struggling so much? I don't understand this stuff. I can't figure this out. I feel like I'm so dumb. I'm a bad engineer. And what's happening is they're going and looking and seeing all these people on the internet bragging about how smart they are. And then they feel horrible about themselves. Well, no, what I want to do is I really want to give an accurate and honest representation of what I'm going through as an engineer. And that's why I post my highlights and my lowlights. I post my failures and very openly, right? Like about my failures. And I've regularly come into things that I've just failed on. And I try to be honest about that and be open about, like, okay, well, yeah, sometimes I do feel low. And then when I post because I do project videos as well, when I do my project videos, I regularly if you watch my project videos, you might even think, man, this guy is not too smart, right? But I disagree with that. I think I am a normal developer. I think that what I'm doing in my project videos, I'm learning a lot. And guess what? I normally finish the project, but people will be very fixated on the fact that, oh, why didn't you know this one specific thing? Well, because I didn't know it. That's why. And then I learned it. And I don't think that there's any problem with that. And I'm very, like, this is a very shocking thing because most of the time you only see people on the internet who are just like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing this, and then you get a false impression like, oh, wow, okay, well, this is what's normal. I don't think so. I don't know anyone like that. Most of the people that I see on the internet, I don't know a single person who's like that. So I would highly suggest kind of just don't feel terrible about yourself. If you're going on the internet, you're finding these people who, number one, want to brag about how smart they are. They only post their successes, they don't post their failures, they don't post their, depressed moments. They don't post any of that. They just present this really idealized version of themselves. That's number one. Or number two, you have the predators who are trying to go out and make some, like, scam you out of your money. Or number three, you have the minions of the predators who are trying to just be mean spirited and insult people. And so I, as I was saying, like, I always get these comments. I get so many of those little minions who come to my channel and be like, they'll write out long comments about how dumb I am and how I'm never going to make it as a software engineer, or how I'm never, right. And so I'm very familiar with these people. So I just want to encourage people, like, if you get this impression, like, just don't feel bad about yourself. The important thing, in my opinion, is just move forward, make progress with yourself, get better, learn more. Even if you're depressed about, I don't mean like clinically depressed. I mean just like feeling bad about, like, whatever. Like, maybe I shouldn't have said depressed. Maybe, like, if you're feeling, just like this kind of feeling, just like set back, disheartened, this kind of feeling. Just keep pushing forward and don't give up, kind of thing. That's what I mean. So, yeah. I think this is how I'm going to move forward. I don't think I'm going to be going towards the software engineering path on my, as of right now. I think I'm going to be going more into the firmware. I'm going to be learning about operating systems. I'm going to be putting more time at in my job. And then I'm also going to be keeping an eye out for positions open at my company to see, like, hey, can I get in? Can I get in? Can I get in? Right? So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be obviously posting YouTube videos about that. So if you want to see my journey, I would love for you to subscribe. I would love to have you around. That would be awesome. And we can move forward together. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.